Sean Meyers of the Westmoreland Sports Network, now joined by Thomas Paulone, the head coach of the Jeannette Jayhawks, after they scored a thrilling victory at Brentwood last Friday, 42-41, in a game that truly came down to the final few seconds. And Thomas, this is, I'm sure, a very exciting week after a thrilling win like that. What were the emotions like on Friday when your team was able to get the touchdown to pull within one, and then the 2-point conversion to ultimately win the game in the final 10 seconds?
Sure. I think, excitement, relief, a game plan coming together. It was definitely a thrilling moment to, you know, the series of events that happened with the fourth quarter. There was an incident with the clock. We had to get more time put back on the clock since the officials oversaw some things with the clock operator and got 30 seconds back on. We had a big defensive stand turnover on downs. We get the ball back. Monty drives the field with our offense, and we go for two and get it. It was just a thrilling series of events and something we certainly won't forget.
I know you probably felt like there was a lot of momentum on your side when you got that touchdown in the final 10 seconds, but it was still a bold decision to go for two. Had you kicked the PAT, almost certainly the game goes to overtime. What went into that decision, and what was the factor in the call to allow Kimani to kind of call his own number there?
Sure. When we crossed the 50, I started asking the staff, what do you think? And it was kind of split with, hey, kick it or go for two. And I think ultimately we knew we had the right play call with the sprint out pass that we had. We carry two-point plays with us. We rep them throughout the week. And we felt like we put it in Kamani's hand, give an option to run or pass. They called timeout right away when we scored. I think they were putting in a block, or I don't know what they did, but that allowed us enough time and actually talk to the kids when they came over. And a lot of the kids were like asking to go for two. And we looked in Kamani's eyes and said, "Do you want to go win this thing?" And it was without hesitation. So I think that was the final moment where we, hey, changed personnel really quick, and we got the right personnel in there and made the call to go for two. And ultimately, the kids executed and got in the end zone.
Sometimes players maybe don't realize the significance of a game in terms of the standings postseason, but I'm sure you and your coaching staff understood what this victory meant. It truly feels like once the regular season wraps up, this will be a game we go back and look at and say, Jeannette made the playoffs because of this potentially. So what was the pressure like, knowing that the game was coming down to the wire and that without looking too far ahead, it could ultimately determine if your team was postseason bound or not?
Sure. When we went down 14 late, I think it was like 7 or 6 minutes left. You can definitely, just started thinking, what can we do to get back in this game? And I think some of the kids started doing that too. And I give credit to our staff for just keeping them focused and getting them back in the game. But like you said, I think, we try to keep it, we prepare for every opponent the same. And I know that's cliche and a lot of coaches say that, but we told the kids, it's just, it starts with this game. Like we have to win out, but it doesn't matter if we don't beat Brentwood. So, and with Brentwood too, like those kids were fired up. It was hard hitting on both sides. Their staff did a great job keeping them in the game as well. So it was just one heck of a Friday night football game on both sides.
I think even predating your tenure as a head coach, the 1A Eastern Conference has been pretty similar in terms of the teams that are in it. Brentwood is a newcomer after dropping down from 2A. Is there any excitement going against a new opponent? Is there any mystery as opposed to the other teams that I'm sure you're all at this point very familiar with?
Yeah, definitely. I think, from a coaching standpoint, they're a new opponent, new scheme. We did our research this offseason, and especially with film, throughout the season in our league poll, you have to share film. So, and we knew the history. I think my freshman year, we played them in a semifinal, Elizabeth Forward, as a player. So we knew they were tough kids, and they have a lot of good players on that team. So yeah, they are the newcomer of the conference. I know there was some type of feeling about them coming down to A, that they thought they would have an easier road, but that's not true. We think, our conference is among the toughest, and Singaway and even the Whipple. A lot of people are saying Singaway and 5A are the deepest, and we believe that. So yeah, I think, new environment. We never been there. The setup was different. The locker room was far. We had to stay on the field for halftime. So just working through those things. But yeah, I think there was a lot of mystery with playing Brentwood for the first time, and they're a worthy opponent. We're glad they're in our conference, and they make us all better for sure.
Well, it was such a crucial win because your team had been on a 3-game losing streak. And obviously, you played some really good competition during that time. Leechburg, Clareton, which has had a record setting season, and then that rivalry matchup against GCC. Where was the team at mentally after those 3 losses, and how important was it that you were able to get the bounce back and kind of put an end to that skid?
Sure. I think where we were at, it was just we kept preaching to keep going. You can't coach what we went through in any other sport. Well, the only thing you can do to coach, adversity is through sport. And I think we just told the guys to stay the course. We knew there was plays, maybe not the Clarendon game that was pretty one-sided, but we felt like we played our worst at Leechburg, and to come off of that to go play Clarendon, who was a much superior opponent to us, and they're historically good, to have the focus to go in there and to take some bright spots out of that game, then to go play Central and have those 30 seconds before the half determine our game, and there's other plays that we look and reflect upon. We had to keep the focus and just tell them, you're going through adversity, you just have to stay the course, and we believe in you guys, and to get this thing right with these last 3 games. And it doesn't mean anything if we don't go beat Brentwood, like I mentioned before. So, mentally it was just, of course we were disappointed. We were 4-0, we lost 3 straight, but just really coach them through that. And it gave us an opportunity to coach them through that. And they came out on the right end on Friday because of it.
When we came out to training camp, there was a major question of who would be the quarterback, and would you use 2 different guys there? Obviously, with Kamani Brown having some experience there, but also really accomplished as a playmaker at receiver, and then Marcus McGowan as well getting reps. It seems like at a certain point in the year, you realized Brown is going to have to be the guy at quarterback more snaps than not. What went into that decision? Why was that the right decision, and how has everyone involved responded to it?
Yeah, absolutely. If you remember, Kamani started receiver our first game. So I think it's more of a credit to Marcus McGowan and our belief in him. I think, he played well at Mount Pleasant. There was some mistakes, of course, like there is in every game. But I think that, Kamani just gives us a better option with certain play calls and certain things that he can do. Obviously, he's very talented when the ball's in his hands, and obviously he's a really good talent when the ball is in his hands every play when he's at quarterback. So especially with what we want to do offensively and who we are as an identity as a team, it takes him out of the receiving lineup, but it gets the ball in his hands, and he's a good quarterback. Like, he delivers the ball well. He makes good reads. He's a true quarterback. So I think, Marcus, we still use him. He threw a pass in the Brentwood game. We had a package for him, late in the first half, I believe, that we wanted Kamani back at receiver for a particular play call. So, Marcus stays in it. He's a good quarterback too. He's only a sophomore, and we'll see how he grows. He will continue to grow, but the decision just came down to, how can we not have the ball in Kamani's hands at every play, and have him at quarterback. And he can use the field, distribute the ball, and use his true gifts.
And I'm sure that decision was made a little bit easier because you've had some guys really step up a receiver. Obviously, Jace Powell had such a great start to the season. He's been a steady presence throughout, but Noah Sunder has emerged in a big way recently as well. So even though you move maybe your best receiver to quarterback, it still seems like you're pretty deep at that position with some explosive playmakers.
For sure. And it's a credit to Kamani distributing the football. Even freshman Hunter Schaefer is coming along fine at our slot position too. So yeah, I agree with you, Sean. Our guys are stepping up, Sunder, Powell, and beyond.
I know that there's probably some goals that you set before the season that you still want to achieve. So at this point, with just 2 weeks remaining in the regular season, where is this team, and where do they still need to improve to get to where you want to end up?
Sure. We always start the season. There's only one goal when you start the season, and that's a conference title. That's the only thing you can earn. I think we have a long shot at that. We're more focused on, getting into this postseason, because once you're in the postseason, it's a new season, and we start talking about other goals like a WPIAL title and beyond that to a state title. So we feel we have enough talent to to win a playoff game and to make a run. That's what we're preparing for this week. We're focusing more on strength and conditioning this week and really working on ourselves to get ready for Springdale. And we'll carry that over to next week because, we want to get ready for another month of football. So, the refocus has been good, especially with a win like that. Like you said, it gives us momentum. And like you said, our goal is to get in the playoffs and make a run right now, and see where the conference standings end up after a win at Springdale this week and go to Riverview and get another one.
Lastly, I know that Rich Bowen was someone who meant a lot to you on a personal level with your connection at Waynesburg University with Rich. And of course, there's a fraternity amongst coaches in Westmoreland County and the entire WPIAL. So I'm sure he had a major impact in your life and certainly your coaching career. What do you remember most about him and what he meant to you?
Sure, everything. I get chills when you ask the question. I think, people don't realize how much time, he was the offense coordinator at Waynesburg my first 2 years there. And people just don't realize the time that you spent with your coaches during your collegiate career. Only the people who've played can testify to that. And, with Rich, he was definitely the guy that took, a freshman like me who came in at Waynesburg and ran the wing tee at Jeannette and really introduced the air raid offense to me. And, he's meant a lot to me as a coach too. I think 2 days after I was hired at Jeannette, I think it might have been 3 days, I met him at Nancy's in Irwin, where he's a regular. And he literally sat down with me and told me everything that was going to happen to me from the time I was hired to, if I'm a 10-year head coach. And it's been pretty consistent with the things he's told me. And, I'll keep some of those private, but, a lot of them has happened already with the timeline. Your first year is going to go like this, your second year, your third year. And this is how you'll know that you're on the right track or not. And you're going to have to do this and someone's going to let you down. You trust your stuff like that, where he's really mentored me. Scheme speaks for itself. Like he's just a bright football mind. He gave me a lot of things. His fingerprints are a lot on our schemes on the offensive side of the ball, especially. Our lowest, if you asked Rich, who was he with when he shot his lowest golf round, he would tell you, Tommy Paulone and Cal Kuiper. And I can honestly say I shot my lowest golf round that day too. So we had that personal connection. So I can go on and talk about Rich. In the summer we came home to Jeannette and my college roommate who played for him at Sarah, and we're best friends to this day. He connected us, but my college roommate lived in White Oak. I lived in Jeannette in the summers. Then we would meet at Norman to work out. But almost every day, Rich would show up to the workout, and it was just us two. But that's the type of guy that he was. He loved football. He loved coaching kids. And even if it was some freshman quarterback from Jeannette working out with, his running back from Sarah, he would come and coach us up and get ready for the season. So, I appreciate you asking the question. I mean, Rich has meant so much to me and will continue to impact me with all the stuff that he's taught me at Waynesburg and beyond.
Really good stuff. Very touching answer indeed. Well, thank you so much for doing this. We appreciate the time. Congrats on the big win, and hopefully you can keep it up this week and beyond with the Jayhawks.
Thanks so much, Sean.